So welcome to lesson 3. All right, so we've covered the first two, and first one is, hey, let's focus on the things that we have the ability to control. All right, let's focus on the things that matter that we have the ability to control. Anything else is going to sap our energy. It's going to just take away from our momentum. Hey, we want to keep our momentum going forward with small wins. All right, focus on the things that we can control, then we can manufacture desired outcomes. Number 2, all right, when you're coming out of the valley, let's keep our purpose front and center. It will supercharge you. All right, it's the reason for existing. It is your unchanging why. All right, the third one I think is very, very important. And look, I want you to think about it this way. I mean, this transition from the valley to the top of this next mountain, this transition from where you are to your highest and best version of yourself, it's not an overnight journey. All right, it's a process. It's a long process. All right, and I want you to think about this. Think about it from the perspective of a team, of a sports team. Every team starts, at the beginning of the season with a goal of winning a championship, of holding a trophy. But they all realize that a championship is not won on the first day of the season, the first month of the season, right? But it is a series of minor accomplishments that ultimately culminate with that team holding the trophy. So I want you to think about, this. I mean, so this next tip as far as building your momentum is, look, don't get lost in the grind and miss the gift of the journey, right? Take the time to celebrate the small wins along the way, all right? So this is kind of just, look, if I'm a coach of a basketball team and our goal is to win a championship, well, I'm thinking about at the end of the first quarter of the season, I'd like for our record to be here. And if our record is at that point, then I want to celebrate that win, right? So this is just celebrating small victories along the way, giving yourself small wins. And the great thing about this when it comes to supercharging your motivation is when you have the opportunity to celebrate small wins, it's like an injection of fuel into your engine, right? I mean, when you put a goal down on the board and you check off a win, I mean, it's just like a boost of adrenaline, a boost of nitrous into your engine, right? And those small wins will actually fuel you and propel you, forward and kind of just keep fuel in your tank. So I mean, if you're in this valley and your goal is constantly, at the top of this mountain, I mean, I think about, climbers who are making the trip to Mount Everest, and the Valley of Silence is one of the stops, on the way to the tip of Mount Everest. So from the time that people leave base camp, and then they get to the Valley of Silence, right? And look, we all need our personal Valley of Silences, right? That's where we silence the doubt, silence the naysayers, right? But in the Valley of Silence, that's where climbers who are trying to reach Mount Everest, that's where they get their first view of the summit, right? That's the first time that they see it, right? And the great thing about it is that from that Valley of Silence, purpose is renewed because you see, the summit, right? But even from the Valley of Silence, that summit is still a long distance away. But the Valley of Silence gives climbers an opportunity to celebrate the fact that they made it there. They made it there safely. It's not the end of the journey, but it's a small win on the path to the larger victory, or to the larger goal, right? So this third tip when it comes to supercharging and keeping your motivation on 10 is, hey, don't get lost in the grind, right? And miss out on the gift. I want you to think about the reason behind setting this audacious goal in the first place. Was it to spend more time with family? Was it to be more involved with your community, right? All right, so as you progress toward achieving this goal, celebrate by spending time with family. Celebrate by being more involved, by being engaged, by being interactive. Celebrate the small wins because they'll put fuel in your tank and will keep pushing you to the summit of your next mountain. So tip number 3, celebrate. Celebrate the small wins. See you in the next lesson.